Welcome! Today, we're going to explore the internal architecture of understanding itself. We'll look at the blueprint our minds use to make sense of the world, and more importantly, how we can learn to navigate that often uncomfortable but totally essential process of updating that blueprint, not with force, but with presence.
You know that feeling, right? You come across an idea or have an experience that's so profound, it just seems to shake the very foundations of your reality. It can feel, well, unsettling, maybe even a little destabilizing. But what if that feeling wasn't a problem? What if it wasn't a sign of failure, but a sign of genuine growth? What if that's just what it feels like when your understanding expands in real time?
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We've got 4 parts. We'll start with that very feeling of change. Then we'll get into the mental architecture behind it all. After that, we'll break down the actual process of understanding. And finally, we'll talk about how to navigate it all with presence.
Okay, let's dive right in with that raw experience. That feeling you get when your whole worldview is challenged. This right here, this is the core insight. That anxiety or confusion you feel when a big belief gets questioned, that's not evidence of a flaw in you. It's the natural, unavoidable byproduct of growth. You could almost think of it as the sound of mental construction, a sign that the old structures are making way for something a lot more expansive. So, what exactly is this internal architecture we keep talking about? Well, this brings us to the foundational concept of our mental models, or what psychologists call schemas.
Okay, so the technical term for these building blocks is schema. Schemas are basically the mental frameworks, the concepts that help us organize and interpret all the information coming at us. They are truly the scaffolding of our understanding.
And here's a really powerful way to picture it. Imagine your mind is this huge storage unit filled with a lifetime of experiences. The schemas are the organizational system. They're the labeled boxes. You've got a box for chair, a box for work, a box for love. These mental containers help you make sense of everything, really quickly and efficiently.
We can see exactly how these schemas get built with this simple example. A child creates a box labeled dog for a furry, 4-legged creature they see. And for a little while, this works great. But then they see a cat, and they put it in the dog box. A cow goes in the dog box too. See, the schema is useful, but it's incomplete. The real process of learning is the process of refining that box.
So, how does this building and refining process actually work? Let's take a look at how we interact with new information using these mental boxes we've created.
The whole process really breaks down into these 3 key steps. First, we always try to assimilate new information. If that doesn't work, then we have to accommodate it. And the goal, whether we realize it or not, is to get back to a state of equilibrium, a feeling of mental balance.
Let's really zoom in on the 2 big actions here. Assimilation, that's the easy part. You see a new type of dog, I don't know, a poodle, and you just add it to your existing dog box. Simple. Your worldview is confirmed. Accommodation, though, that's the hard work. You see a cat for the first time. It has 4 legs, sure, but it meows and climbs trees. It just doesn't fit in the dog box. You can't just add it, you have to change your entire filing system. You have to create a new cat box and, in the process, refine what dog even means.
In that exact moment, that moment when the new information just won't fit, that's when we enter what psychologists call disequilibrium. It's a state of cognitive imbalance. It feels like our neat and tidy mental library is suddenly in total disarray because we have a book that has no shelf.
This quote really gets to the heart of the emotional side of it. It feels stressful because it is a threat to our reality. We're not just reorganizing some data points. We're being forced to admit that our map of the world was incomplete, maybe even wrong. We literally have to throw away some of the boxes we've trusted for a long, long time.
Okay, so, knowing all this, how can we move through this process a bit more skillfully? This brings us to our final and maybe most important section, navigating these moments with presence. So let's try to distill this down into a clear process for creating your new story. First, just recognize that real change isn't about learning a new fact, it's about remodeling an entire belief system. Second, expect and normalize the discomfort. The fear, the anxiety, it's a totally normal, integral part of this work. Third, remember that this state of disequilibrium is temporary. It will pass. As you accommodate the new information, you're going to find a new, more robust equilibrium. And finally, this new, deeper understanding becomes your new, more nuanced normal.
This brings us to the fundamental choice at the heart of this whole process. We can react to the discomfort of disequilibrium by just retreating to our old familiar boxes, or we can choose to respond with presence. By consciously engaging with the discomfort, we're choosing responsibility over reactivity. This is exactly how we hold the space for becoming, allowing a more integrated, aligned version of ourselves to emerge from the process.
So, let's make this really practical with a reflective prompt. What can you do, personally, to put yourself at ease and remind yourself that this is normal and that the stress of change will pass? When you feel that mental vertigo, what's one simple practice you can use to ground yourself? How can you remind your system that what you're feeling is construction, not destruction?
And here's a final thought to leave you with. This process of rebuilding our understanding, it's demanding work. So what is your healthy way to unwind and de-stress? Knowing this isn't an indulgence, it's a critical tool. It's how we build the capacity to stay present with that discomfort, to choose responsibility, and to really trust our own internal authority through the messy, beautiful, and absolutely essential work of becoming.